our role within creation as to be caretakers of that creation. Within the scripture, we see lament for the land, that when the people of God are sinning, that we see that the land laments and the land suffers in conjunction with what the people of God are doing, especially when they're not obeying what he's doing. And so there's this care woven through the scriptures. One of the roots of this change in our attitude towards the land was that people were becoming more and more disconnected from the land. When your way of life is agrarian, when you get your sustenance from the land, when you have that connection with the land, I think you're much more attuned to think about the treatment that you're giving to the land. With the Industrial Revolution, with urbanization, with a decreasing attachment to the land, it becomes this much more abstract thought, right? And fast forward to today, where food comes from a grocery store, right? When we don't even really think about where the origins of that product were, then the effects that our lifestyles are having on the land, it's nebulous, it's distant, it's not in our face, it's way out there. And so, yeah, absolutely, the shift from more agrarian society and agricultural living to more urbanization has definitely contributed to our disinterest and ignorance of the effects that we're having on the land. And so I think a real important corrective to the way that we've been living, and at least in the recent past, a real important corrective is to draw us back to recognize that this is properly understood. Christianity is not anthropocentric. Properly understood, creation is not anthropocentric. Everything is theocentric. This creation is here for the glory of God. And that flips again our relationship on its head. It's not thinking about what can creation do for me. It's what can I do for creation to allow it to glorify God. Another criticism that we see, especially in Western Christianity recently, is it's very individualistic, right? What's in it for me, right? And the measure of the success of something is like, what has that done for my bottom line? And so we got this combination of not just anthropocentrism, but individualism. And then we combine this together, and it's not too hard to see when that's the culture that you're in, to see that we go to a very utility-based, short-term utility-based view of nature. I think one of the first steps is to really recognize what are we doing and what are those effects. We have to have that, kind of cognition of, recognition of that these effects are real. To deny the effects of climate change by saying that the science is really unsettled on this is just disingenuous. I mean, I'm not going to give you a whole lecture on climate change, but this is what I teach. If science can know anything, we are as sure as science can be that humans cause climate change and that climate change has damaging effects to ecosystems and people all over the world. To not act, to disengage from that under the premise that science is undecided is disingenuous. Science is as sure as we can be about this connection. First step for this is to try to let people see, or to open their eyes to the fact that the way that we live in the US has an effect on the welfare of people in Africa. The way that people live in Africa has an effect on Asia. The way that people live in Asia has an effect on the US, right? The world is that hand-knit sweater that is all woven together, and when we start to unravel in one place, it starts to unravel in another. Then the next step is to make that connection, to realize the way that I live here does actually have an effect on there. And it's not in the face, right? It's not presenting you in the same way that you might see the problem of homelessness every day when you drive to work. But the data are there, the images are there, the reality is there, and I think it needs to change the way that we behave.